Hello everyone, my name is Jean-Luc, and welcome to my review of Arachnids in the UK. This episode sees the Doctor and friends arrive back in modern day Sheffield, where after a hesitant goodbye, they decide to go for tea at Yaz's.
Tea at Yaz's. Never been for tea at Yaz's.
I do like seeing that more family element back in the show, as I think it helps ground the characters that little bit more, and just makes them feel like real people. From what we see of Yaz's family, I really enjoyed. I liked how the dad was into his conspiracy theories, and I loved seeing the Doctor trying to make small talk. I do think it would have been nice to spend a bit more time with them, just to flesh them out more, but hey, I understand we need to get the plot moving. Yaz ends up receiving a call from her mum to come pick her up from her recently fired new job. One of the things I was hoping going into this story was that we were going to see a bit more from Yaz, as she hasn't really had any definitive moments as of yet, and I thought maybe having her family there would help with that. However, I can't help but feel the writing let her down this episode. There were points where I was watching thinking, this would be the perfect opportunity for Yaz to step up and show us what she's capable of. Maybe show us some of them police skills. But no, like shortly on arrival in the hotel, Robertson pulls a gun on her and her mum and she just backs away and doesn't say anything. Like, you've just had a gun pulled out on you and you're not going to do anything? In fact, she does say something. She says, "What are you doing?" And I'm pretty sure Robertson insults her and says, "What are you, like 12? Surely that would have been the perfect opportunity to be like, well, no actually, and then mention something about being in the police. Like, is it even legal for him to have a gun? I don't know, I was just let down by her, and I feel she could have got a lot more involved. Meanwhile, back at the flat, the Doctor and Ryan have gone next door to collect a parcel. This is where we meet Dr. McIntyre, an Arachnids expert who's checking up on a friend who's been missing for a number of days. After getting no response, the Doctor sonics the lock, and we're greeted with an arachnophobe's nightmare. One thing that did bother me a little about this scene was just how little McIntyre reacts to seeing her friend in that state. Like, fair enough, you've got a lot going on at the minute, but at the same time, you've just walked into her flat, seen that it's infested, to find her lying on her bed, dead, and cocooned. Maybe it's just me, but I would have thought you'd show some emotion for something like that. Anyway, we later find out from Dr. McIntyre that something's been happening with the spiders. Not only are they increasing in size, but their behaviour is also being very out of the norm, as we see here with them killing and keeping humans, for what we can only assume is for later consumption. Quickly touching on the spiders, I thought they looked pretty good. The CGI this series has been pretty on point, and these were no exception to that. The Doctor manages to contain the spider by surrounding it with garlic and vinegar, as spiders don't like the smell of that, and that's the last we see of it. McIntyre takes the Doctor, Ryan and Graham, who's joined back up with them, down to her lab, where she explains that they have been running experiments to see if they can extend the lifespan of spiders, as spiders grow their entire lifespan, in hopes that they can try and get bigger spiders with more interesting biological patterns that can be learned about and exploited, with the carcasses later being sent away to be exposed of. And this is where everything culminates back at the hotel. Robertson, the hotel owner, builds his hotels on repurposed land, in this case a coal mine, which in and of itself is fine, but what we find out is that he also contracts out to let people dispose of their waste underneath the hotel. Now, not only is this incredibly unsafe for the environment, but we find out this is also where the carcasses have been dumped, and over time this has caused them to mix and mutate. Getting onto Robertson as a character, he's very much supposed to be a Trump caricature. He's this big successful businessman who only cares about himself. He's pro-gun. He's also running for president in 2020. And he's meant to be the big bad of this week. Now, I'm a little bit mixed on his character, as I felt a lot of his dialogue felt forced at times, and he came off as more of a stereotype more than anything. That said, Chris Noth is hamming this up to the max, and easily makes him for me. His acting almost comes off Panto-esque at times. Everything is so exaggerated and over the top. And yeah, although I'm unsure on the character, I'm still very much enjoying seeing him on screen. Moving forward now, the team have gathered up at the hotel alongside Robertson and Yaz's mum. Oh, and this guy. But he doesn't last long. They end up getting trapped inside and start to look for a way to stop these eight-legged fiends. After running about for a bit and establishing some key points, aka the panic room, the Doctor comes up with a plan to lure the spiders into the panic room, where they will be trapped and eventually pass away. So, how did they do this? Big man Stormzy to the rescue. I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure about this. I mean, it's pretty funny and it fits with the ridiculous tone this episode is going for, but at the same time, I've noticed with Chibnall's episodes, he seems to have these little silly moments in there that feel very out of place. Episode 1, we had Salad Man. Episode 2, Ryan's first person shooter rampage. And now this. It might just be me, but I really hope this doesn't become a recurring theme. Oh. Fuck. Anyway, the vibrations caused from the music lure the spiders in, but there's a problem. The Queen has grown too big and cannot leave the room that she is in. The Doctor goes over to help her, only to find out that it is dying. However, Robinson pulls a gun and shoots it dead there and then. Okay, one gripe here. I get that the Doctor is anti-gun, but surely this was the more humane thing to do, by just putting it out of its misery. I mean, the Doctor says it herself that it was slowly suffocating, and what's humane about that? I don't know. I found the Doctor's morals to be a little skewed at the end. And Robertson walks away with no consequences, only for it to cut back to the TARDIS, where we get a cute little scene at the end with the companions sharing why they don't want to leave, and boom, Team TARDIS is born. Okay, so let's get into some of my likes and dislikes. Now, I was a little hesitant at first when I heard that Grace would be appearing in this story, but it was actually done really well. The way this episode used her to show the grief that Graham was going through made for some really powerful scenes. To anyone who doubted Bradley Walsh's acting abilities and wasn't sold last week, here you go. I mean, he continues to just get better and better, and I'm honestly finding him to be one of my favourite parts of this series. I also liked how it played into his reasoning for wanting to travel with the Doctor at the end. Speaking of the Doctor, I thought Jodie nailed it this week, giving her best performance so far. She seemed to be a lot more stripped back, which I appreciated. As I found previously, she's kinda still felt like she's finding her feet, but here she definitely came across a lot more natural, and like she's settled more into the role. It was also nice seeing that more alien side to her character. Stuff like her trying to make small talk at the flat, and also how she would refer to Nyadia as Yaz's mum.
Nadia.
Now, I've already mentioned how I thought the CG spiders looked great, but they were nothing compared to that vortex. My god. It was beautiful. In fact, that whole scene from when we first entered the vortex to actually seeing the TARDIS land in Sheffield was some fantastic directional work. Easily some of the best stuff I've seen in a while. Now for some things that I wasn't too big on. Yaz. Now, it's not that I dislike her, but we're nearly halfway through the series and I still don't feel as if I know this character. Like, sure, we now know a little bit more about her family, but Yaz to me is still lacking, which I feel is a real shame because as we saw last week, when Mandav is given something to do, she can be great, so fingers crossed we'll see a bit more from her in Demons of the Punjab. The next thing I wasn't so keen on was the ending. I didn't like how it just cut from, okay, Big Spider's dead, Robinson's walking away, and then we just cut to the TARDIS, and that's it. Like, there's so many questions left unanswered. What happened to the spiders? We know they're going to die, but what about the spiders that are still in the city? The ones that were in Graham's flat, the ones that were next door? What happened to them? Because I highly doubt that Stormzy was blasting that loud that every spider in Sheffield just all correlated at that hotel. Like, there's definitely still a lot of them out there. And I mean, it's a bit of a coincidence if, oh, it was only them two and they just happened to be around the companions. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of how we didn't get answers for that. Also, another week where the villain just walks away. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised if Robertson came back. Probably not at the end of the series, but as he was built up to be a public figure and also running for president in 2020, I do see him coming back in possibly series 12 or 13, either running for or as the president. As for other criticisms, as I said, I thought the Doctor's morals were a bit meh, and also some of the guest characters could have been expanded upon. But that's about it really. Overall, I feel Arachnids in the UK was what we needed after the hard-hitting Rosa. It's silly, light-hearted fun, and although tonally confused at times, made for some entertaining telly. I don't see it being everyone's cup of tea, but I can at least say I had fun with it. I give Arachnids a 6.5 out of 10. But hey, they're just my thoughts. I'd love to know what you think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the Whoniversals for more glorious Doctor Who content, and I'll see you next in our group review of episode 10. Have a nice day, and goodbye. God's is the only power man fear. Couple skeng man and shower man here, shower man down in my shower man gear. Yeah. Talk about me, you better hashtag
Hashtag problem. Adidas creps, don't ask what I got, don't ask.